Hey Sharon,
Hi, Osana. Good evening.
good evening. I already make the calls because I'm gonna be actively active in the background. But some people in the waiting room, though, I don't know. Like, I need one of your speakers. I don't know how soon you want to let them in. You want to let the speakers in now or stuff like that? Because I know some persons. Yeah, you already let in Adebowale. Okay. Pardon?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I have let him in.
All right, no problem.
Awesome.
Debo Cabo. So I by the case like you don't know how early or how soon you want to let them in, but I know it's 3 p.m. but I actually can let them in. Yeah. All right. Listening actively behind.
Hey, Hosanna, how you doing?
I'm fine. Happy new month.
I sent you.
Run away, Debo.
Run away, okay. Where did I run
I'm
to? How
coming
far?
for you.
Which April Fool's prank did you pull?
That I pulled. I should ask you, it's you that pulled it. I'm coming for you.
I didn't
All right. Have a great webinar.
Osana, were you talking to me?
No. It was Debo. Debo is my runaway son now.
Oh, sorry, did I miss something?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure my video quality is very good. Let's see what we have.
Not bad.
Looks very, very fuzzy from my end.
Maybe you want to use like a lighter background. I think this purple might be too deep.
The room.
Oh, I think it's fine. Just move closer to the camera. So yeah, the way you are now, right now. Like if you are relaxed, it looks farther, but once you are close. Oh, it's the Kellogg's banner you're using. No wonder. Oh shit. Enjoy. I'm coming for you. So you're coming to this house next 2 months. Coming for you. All right, Sharon. Break it. We can hear you.
Okay, I'm just trying to ensure that the internet I'm using is okay for this call.
There'll always be like, I know definitely our Nigerian network will always be teaching, but not to worry. When people are not hearing, they're going to let you know. That's why you have people, colleagues on the call to assist.
Okay, awesome.
Philip is here, so you are covered.
Awesome.
I'm going to be here, like, listening and putting on my camera in between.
Hi, good day, everyone.
Hi, Philip. Happy birthday in advance. Hope you're going to celebrate it for us and then I'll be counting down for you. 21 days.
Yeah. Thank you. I know we are going to celebrate it online, so.
Yeah. You have to now. You're a faculty member, so you don't have a choice. Yeah.
Looking forward.
Oh yeah, well, please let's ginger them in the community so they log in early. I know we still have like 5 minutes, but the sooner they come, the better for our meeting later. Philip, I'm also gonna make you a call to Sharon too. And so welcome.
All right.
Okay, I think we have all our panelists on board now. Can everyone hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yes, I can hear you. Well, sorry, Jolade actually sent a link to my email, and that link sent me to a meeting that had like 4 people. So when someone now mentioned that there could be another meeting room with more attendees, I had to go to the Telegram group and follow the link shared by Philip. So I think maybe you should, I don't know if you send it to the email or I don't know, Sha.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. So sorry that we're starting this a little bit late, but we had to, give a little time for all our panelists to be here and at least a sizable number of our learners. So I would be your host for today, and my name is Sharon Owani. And this series is a continuation of the MBA admission experience. We have a couple of learners that are on board today, and they would be taking us on their journey or through their journey of securing an MBA admission in school. So I have Aisha Hafiz in the house. I have Oluwafemi Orekoya. I have Adebowale Adene. I have Solana. Please, I'm so sorry if I didn't pronounce it right, but we have these 4 individuals that would be, giving us the insights and giving us a couple of advice and steps that they use to secure their MBA placements. So who's going first? And do you want to go first? Just give us a little introduction on yourself what you do currently, where you'd be going to school, and we'll do that round while we progress with the call.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Ene Odusholano. I'm actually Yoruba, but of mixed tribe. I currently work as a project manager for a tech firm here in Lagos. Sorry, I kind of lost my voice. This is not how I sound on a normal day. Yeah, so I work as a project manager for a tech firm here in Lagos. I have about 7+ years work experience. And yeah, I'm finally going for my MBA, and so I'm excited about this. Thank you.
And are you done?
Yeah, you didn't hear me. Did anyone hear me, by the way? I don't know.
I just wanted to confirm that that's it. So let's have Adebowale next, then we'll have Aisha, then we have Oluwafemi. So you don't have to stop all the time. Adebowale, can you go next, please? Thank you.
Right, great. Hello, everybody. My name is Debo. That's Adebowale Adene. I am a business development strategist with about 12 years experience. So if there are any of the guys with quite a lot of experience that have questions, then probably I can attend to that. But I have about 12 years experience. Most of it has been in oil and gas sector. And I'm also going for an MBA this fall at Kellogg School of Management. And I'm also a father and husband. Yep.
Awesome. Aisha.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So my name is Aisha. I also have, well, let's say, over almost 10 years working experience. I currently work with the government. So if you're a civil servant and you think you can break through, I'm an example here. And I also own a small jewelry business and married with 3 children. Yeah, so.
Awesome.
About the school, I'm still undecided. So.
Okay. Femi, you want to round up the introduction section for us?
Hi everyone, my name is Oluwafemi Orekoya. I currently work in finance as an investment banker in Lagos, Nigeria. I got into the University of Virginia Darden School of Business. I mean, I guess for all finance, I can give you the bit of advice I have if you need it though, but yeah.
Awesome. So I'm going to just like dive right into it. So the first question I have to ask is, at what point did you decide that an MBA was the next step for you, not any other form of postgraduate qualification? What helped you arrive at the decision or at the point that, okay, an MBA is the next thing I'm going to do? Let's have Femi go first this time, then Aisha, like a reverse of how we did the introduction.
Okay. So I think it's a mix of different things, to be honest. When I first made the decision to do the MBA, I think it was in 2018. So I was transitioning from engineering to finance. I mean, coming from that kind of background, it seemed like a no-brainer to help to sort of, how will I put it now, certify that you're a serious person in the finance world, more or less. And after getting into Stanbic, it felt like the only logical next step after investment banking. And I think the MBA sort of gives you a holistic approach and gives you a more rounded base across, at least for me in finance and across things you want to do in management. So yeah, it made sense to go the MBA route.
Okay. Can I go? Can I go next? Okay.
Go for it, Aisha.
Okay. So in my own case, actually, I started thinking about MBA in, I think, 2019. I went for a QS, they had a university fair here. And the first thing that scared me was the school fees, actually. And I didn't know that they were. Then I think I met Lamide, we have a common friend, and I spoke to her because at some point I was like, why do I really need an MBA? Maybe I should just go for master's in public policy since I'm a civil servant. Probably that's, But then after I spoke with Lamide, I did my research and I found out that MBA, for what I really want to achieve in the long term, MBA is the right step, is the step in the right direction. And that was how I concluded that MBA is the next step for me.
Awesome. Thank you. Adebowale.
Okay, yeah. So for me, it was okay. So my background is engineering, electrical engineering, and I've worked almost all my career in oil and gas. So I gradually moved from engineering to project management to business within the oil sector. But none of it, that transition wasn't formal. It wasn't through any formal training. I had some, on-the-job training and some courses I did at work, but it wasn't formalized. So sometime 2019, 2020, thereabout, I started nursing these ambitions to change my geography. Right? That's, move to a different country. And I thought about it that if I'm going to be moving, right, I probably would want to, start a new career, transition my career. But I did not have, a formalized training. And I felt I was going to be a hindrance, to that process of settling career-wise. So I looked into what I could do, in business. So I thought about taking a PGD because it was a shorter program, doing it in Nigeria per time and all that. But I spoke with people, and luckily for me, I had a sister who was also pursuing her MBA at that time, or trying to get her MBA at that time. So I spoke with her, I spoke with several other people, and I started to understand the difference in actually going for a foreign MBA full-time versus, a part-time MBA in Nigeria or other alternatives. And I realized, all the benefits I had and how it would make that transition for me much easier. So that's how I ended up with the MBA.
Well, so everyone is saying 2018, 2019, 2020. Man, I've been wanting to go for an MBA since 2013, right? So I started my career, first of all, in customer service. And at the time, my boss used to give me research work. Anytime he used to head the finance unit, right? He was CFO, and he used to always prepare for budget strategy sessions. And then he would give me research. I should check pestle analysis, Potter's 5 courses, and give him feedback. So, you have to, it's one of the things that you do in order to prepare for budgets, right? I'm not in finance, so. And because of my research, I started learning about strategy, and I was very much interested in strategy. At the time, too, my boss also had an MBA, and he was the youngest management staff. I was like 30, 31, and that intrigued me, right? Being able to be confident in meetings, not being intimidated. And I think that having an MBA for him at that time, gave him that confidence to be able to sit in a room filled with men that were in their 40s, late 40s, early 50s, and be very confident. So I always was interested in strategy and going for an MBA. And then I did my research, but my research then was a bit skewed because then I was looking at top schools and I was looking at the money, going to Harvard, MIT, and I was like, wow, where will I be able to get that money? At that time, maybe it was even 60M. And I guess, and then the work experience at that time, it's not like now where you need at least 2 years. Then you need like 5 years, 7 years work experience. I was just new. So I said, okay, I'll give it time. And then finally, I think 2017, I was ready to start the whole MBA journey. But yeah, I can see that it's happening now in 2021, 2022. So yeah, that's how long I've always wanted to go for an MBA.
Wow, this is very nice. I have people on my panel that have been wanting to go for an MBA over 7 years. And we have people that have been considering it very recently. Great. So we have like, very diverse experience quota. So what are the challenges that you faced on your MBA journey? Adebowale, you've gotten admitted into Kellogg. Aisha has an admit into INSEAD, and like she said in the beginning of this conversation, she hasn't made a decision. So that means we have more than one admit, right? Femi is going to Darden, and Ene has also secured admission into a couple of schools. So, job, balancing it with family, with kids, just walk us through that process and how you were able to navigate it successfully.
Okay, right. So for me, it was an adventure, a very interesting journey, a lot to learn. There's a word that gets thrown around a lot when you start your MBA journey, and that's introspection. And prior to the whole MBA thing, introspection was just one of those words, you hear, once in a blue moon, but something you keep hearing. And the truth is that on this journey, you have to do a lot of self-reflection, thinking a lot about your past, your current situation, and what you want to do with yourself, with your career going forward. So for me, I had to do a lot of thinking, considering, my career and what I wanted to do in my career. I knew that I didn't want to continue in the, in oil and gas mainstream, and I wanted to do something a bit different. So I had to do a lot of thinking, and it started with why do I want to do the MBA, which is another very important question you need to ask and have an answer for. So I asked myself why I wanted to do the MBA. Then I went into trying to understand, what are the options, what the options were for me. I have a family, and I also know that I had, quite a number of years of experience, and there were some myths I had to bust, first of all, because you hear things like, oh, if you are advanced in age or you have X number of experience, you become disadvantaged and things like that. So I had to research into that a lot. But, to address the question straight on, first things I had to understand, draw up a school list, and the process of drawing up a school list can be very, very it can be stressful because you have to research into each of those schools, and you need to know what you want and what you're looking for. So I did all of that to identify the schools that I felt would help take me from where I am to where I want to be. I also needed to identify what I felt my strengths were and what my weaknesses were, and see which of these options would help me or would position me best in achieving, getting, my desired ambition or my desired goals. So, yeah, I would say a lot of introspection, thinking about where you are, what your strengths and weaknesses are, what the strengths of those schools are, and how you can marry those two to give you the perfect answer. Another thing was speaking with a lot of people. Yeah, so I know Aisha mentioned she spoke with Olamide. Yeah, so I also spoke with quite a lot of people that gave me several opinions. Many of them were clashing, but there were some things that were, common amongst the different lines of thoughts. And it's very important that you are clear about what you want for yourself, because at the end of the day, you have to be the umpire of all the different ideas and thoughts that come across and figure out which ones you are going to take and run with. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Adebowale. That was very, very holistic. And do you want to go next, please?
Yeah, sure. So I would say my major challenge was writing the test. So, I said I started like 2017. So you can imagine I've written GRE and GMAT for a number of times, right? And at the time, the kind of job I was doing at the time, I have always had demanding jobs, and so it wasn't easy for me balancing studying and prepare and then working. Right? I have to stay up late and then have to wake up in the mornings, have meetings with my team, and so I was never really ready to write the GRE. I would always do it just to face my fear, but I never really got the desired score that I wanted. But I still, made good use of what I had, right? I remember there was one tutor that I think I recently used, Greg Matt, and he said know when to stop, right? And so I just felt like, okay, I'm just going to apply with the score I have, the best score I have, and put my best foot forward. So yeah, the challenge, my first major challenge was acing the GRE. And secondly, I would say school selection, right? So I had applied in 2020 as well, and I didn't get into any school. So I was more intentional in terms of I was more intentional about the schools I wanted to attend in or apply to, sorry, in this next round. So selecting schools, looking for schools, it's not easy, right? Checking the schools, checking funding options, checking location, the culture of the school, class size. I was also very particular about class size. I didn't want a really large class size because I'm kind of like an introvert, right? And if you put me in a room filled with a lot of people, I think I'll just drown. And I wanted to come out of my shell. I wanted to be in a school where I was able to be more expressive and that work on my social skills. So I felt a large class size wouldn't help me at all. So yeah, being able to do that research, and I think it was even Olamide that helped me in terms of filtering my final list, right? I just gave it to her and she was like tap. So that really helped me in terms of, overcoming that challenge. And finally, it would be the interviews, right? Again, like I said, I'm kind of like an introvert, and I could get very anxious or nervous. And so I feel like I had to really overcome that part of myself. I really needed to be able to see myself, see the profile that I had, and be able to put my best foot forward. It was also a struggle for me. And so I don't know if, so those were the challenges I faced. Thank you.
That's good. Thank you very much. Femi.
I'm not sure what other challenges you can bring up that Adene and Adebowale have not mentioned, but I think just like Adene mentioned, so two things that sort of were major in the journey was one, the tests, and then coming up with the essays. I'll start from the test. Fortunately, first of all, I didn't need the test for my admission, so that's one. I think I did the GRE and the GMAT a couple of times. And juggling it with work was something else, because there was just not enough time, at least for me. I was supposed to write CFA at the same time as well. So, I mean, a lot of things suffered as I was doing it, but thankfully I got the admission without it. And I think if I'm going to give an advice for anyone that is thinking about it, still thinking about it, is to sort of find a way to get your test taken early away from it. So if you're still thinking about it, maybe it's 3 years down the line, 5 years down the line, I think you can go ahead and write the tests. It's valid for, both of them are valid for 5 years. So just take it out of the way. If you are doing NYSC, just start work, just do the test and forget about it. Because if you need to do it, it's going to be a very, very hard thing to do. And I think the second thing that was a challenge were the essays, because just like Debo mentioned, it takes a lot of introspection. You have to, and how the MBA essays are, they don't just ask you, why do you want to come and do the MBA? They ask you, how does some people ask you, how will our own MBA help you? What's your biggest commitment? So there are different phases to how everybody's essays go. So you have to think back, why did I do this thing I did during NYSC? Why did I study civil engineering? Why did I study electrical engineering? Why did I take my job? Why did I do this job, this project that I did? What did I learn from it? How am I going to bring all these things to write one 500-word essay that the school is going to read and say, oh, okay, this is the person, this is the person that I want to my class. Because I mean, and at the time, my writing wasn't the greatest. So it took a lot of iterations to get my essays to a point where I could submit it to the school. So I think those for me were like the biggest challenges along the way.
Should I go next? Am I supposed to go next?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was waiting for you, Femi, to say, okay, go next. So in my own case, I had a lot of challenges. I won't lie to you. So I've been out of school for many years. And first, I didn't even know how to go about this whole GRE and GMAT. And contrary to a lot of people, some people wrote their exams and got their scores in 3 months. You know, I keep telling people it took me 9 months. I was a nursing mother at that time. The only thing that really worked in my favor was because my work schedule was kind of on and off because of COVID. And I wasted a lot of money on resources. So one of the issues I had was having so many resources and I didn't know which one to really focus on. So you would see me with ETS here, Manhattan Prep, I had Magoosh. I spent a lot of money, and I also had a lesson teacher, kind of. So I had a lesson teacher, and I subscribed to every GRE material you can think of in the market. So that was really, really difficult. But then I just sat down and I think I asked someone, I don't remember who, but like, just focus on one material, just find the one that works for you. So eventually I settled on using Manhattan Prep. I think that is the easiest book you can use anywhere because it will take you from 0 to hero. And then I used Greg Mass for the verbal. And I wrote my exams in August. And after August, I was so tired. Everyone was telling me, apply round 1. If you don't apply round 1, you won't know if, what was it? You have a higher chance of getting into schools in round 1. And by August, I was so tired. And I just told myself, I'm not applying. So that's the first thing. The first thing is choose a material that works for you, and really don't mind people who tell you round 1 is better than round 2. I think we all have equal opportunities. Make sure you just submit an essay that you're really, really proud of. Then secondly is really thinking about, I applied to a lot of schools. So I applied to 10 schools. And one of the schools that was really, really difficult is Stanford. And they asked me, what matters to you most and why? Oh my God, I spent 1 month thinking about what matters to me most and why. I will wake up in the middle of the night, I will write something, and stuff like that. And another thing was I had a problem thinking about, sometimes they'll tell you this story is not MBA worthy and stuff like that. But what I've learned is just be you. Do not discount your experiences. I actually wrote about, my experience balancing being a career mom, my business and stuff like that. I actually wrote about things that were really, really personal. And for some no reason, maybe someone will look at it and be like, this is not a business kind of story. But in my own case, it worked for me. So if you have any story, don't be afraid to share it. Just be you, because it's your story. Nobody is supposed to tell you that or should tell you that this is not good enough and stuff like that. So that was one of my challenges. So rather than a lot of people, my own MBA journey actually took longer, I think, than
I think we lost Aisha.
Yeah, I think we lost Aisha, but I can just, chip into what Aisha was talking about. I remember
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I joined one session, one of the schools, I can't remember which now. And they were trying to help us. So they what they did was that they actually projected an example of an essay, which a candidate wrote, I don't know, the previous year or 2 years back. And I read it. And just like Femi said, I'm also not a great writer. I'm an engineer, so we don't write so well. So I read it, and at that point, I'd written essays for a few schools. I hadn't submitted any. But at that point, I became completely deflated because what I read on the screen was just so poetic, so well put together. I couldn't imagine it. It felt like it was Shakespeare.
I know, right?
It was just too perfect. And here I was, I put so much effort writing what I felt was my very best. And it just didn't measure up in any way in content, writing style, nothing, And I was like, how do I measure up, even sometimes what some other people write about, people from different countries have different experiences. Someone can write about when they went snorkeling or something. In Africa, you cannot go snorkeling. You don't have this kind of stories to tell, But
limited experience, limited resources. So how did you bridge that gap? Like where you were and what you saw on the screen? How were you able to put your story forward and you're able to get admitted to an M7?
Exactly. So that's why you have to actually really sit down, because everybody is unique and everybody has a great story to tell. And what really matters is the strength of your own story and how you deliver that story. So no matter how limited you think your experiences are or how skilled they are to some particular thing that you feel they might not be so interested in, you have to try. If it's your story, you have to embrace that story. It's your life's journey that you're trying to share with somebody else, and you have to find a way to share, to let that story have some strength and share it in a convincing and a captivating manner. So you don't necessarily have to write about when you climbed Kilimanjaro if you never did, but you can write about the, in quotes, little things that impacted one person down the road and changed one life. You don't necessarily have to save 100,000 or 100 hungry children and all of that, but write your own story in a way that cuts across human. You have to be authentic. It's another thing that they talk about. So own your story and give it some strength. And when you have to talk about it, have some conviction in when you in the way you deliver those stories. I have a feeling that the people that eventually read these stories understand some of these things, and I don't think they're going to compare your story directly with another story. They're just going to read. I believe they read the story and they check or judge if that story resonates, or if that story hits them or impacted them in a particular way. And that's really what would matter. So just tell your story. Every story is interesting and unique in its way. And like Ene said, she said, don't discount your story. So you shouldn't for any reason. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So I feel like the panelists they've answered a couple of the questions, or the question I was going to ask next, that what are things you would like to, do differently if you were to start the process all over. So Aisha said, minimize or, pick out the best material that works for you. It's very easy to be swamped with a lot of materials and a lot of resources in this MBA journey, especially when you're preparing for your standard test. So look for a way to avoid that. And another common insight that has been pushed across the panelists is own your story, don't discount your story, do not try to paint yourself in a light different or feel like your story is not MBA worthy. I feel, or like Adebowale said, the admission committee, they can sense authenticity and they can sense ownership, right? So is there any other insights that you would have loved to know maybe earlier in your preparation? Or is it like something that you wished you did differently when applying? Femi Orekoya, do you want to take that? Femi, are you here?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Awesome.
So, I mean, I'm not sure everyone probably gave their best. So I'm not sure there's anything you can add. But I think the only one thing I probably would have done differently or to do again was probably take my test earlier, way before I needed to apply. But besides that, I don't think there's really anything else I could have really done differently in the journey.
Awesome. So the next thing I'm going to ask is, I would just like to know, are there any other, or what other resource or, support communities were you guys a part of that, facilitated the success of your MBA journey aside Lane? And how did they make that journey seamless? Or how did they make it better? How did they provide the support that you needed in getting an MBA admission today? Anna, do you want to start for us? I will just give the directions.
Sure. Well, I have to say, it has always been Lane. It's always been Lane. Sorry, like Lane. I wish Lane was in existence when I wanted to apply at the time I was ready, because the access to the resources and the people, right? So I volunteered at Lane. And one of the advantages of volunteering is that you have access to the management team. And I don't mean to brag, but hey, I have access, right? And everyone is willing to help. I forgot to mention that writing my essays again was a challenge. Like, I had times when I was emotional because I needed to really go deeper. And one person that helped me come out, bring that thing out was Olamide, right? And she's at Lane and she's very supportive. Another resource that really helped me was the LAMP program. So I mentioned that I had applied in 2020, I didn't get in. So I was also a part of the LAMP program at the time. And again, when I now decided, because at the time I didn't get any admission, I wasn't sure whether I wanted to do an MBA. I think I was ready to pack my bags and just move on and maybe just relocate to Canada or something. And then maybe there I'll now or go for an executive MBA when I'm now but I had to also have some serious self-reflections, and was one person that encouraged me, right? And to be able to do it again. Franklin has been my guy from frankly, I'm sorry, I don't really, but yeah, so these guys helped me to be able to do it. Hosanna, and I'll be like, these guys, do you think it's easy? But I'm grateful that I had these people, right, supporting me and helping me push. They were pushing me. Olamide pushed me, Franklin pushed me, Samuel, Rosanna. And then the LAMP program, again, as I was saying, I decided to try again. I wasn't sure if I was going to get it since I was a previous recipient program, but I decided to try again and I got in, and I had a fantastic mentor, Pearl. She also was very encouraging and very supportive. And have Lane, right? Being able to see that it's possible for you to go to school without spending so much money, and having access to resources. These guys share resources every day, and I always check them out. And then I also have Ola Jai. I'm just saying, you volunteer at Lane, you have access to people. If you are active in Lane, you have access. And I always say it in the group. So Lane has been my only resource. I don't think there was any other group I was in. Yeah, every resource that I've had that I've taken advantage of, right, or has helped me in this MBA journey had come from Lane. Be it the GRE GMAT Club, be it the webinars, all the webinars, being a volunteer at Lane, all these guys have helped me to be able to finally get to where I am right now.
Awesome. That's very good to hear. I trust that everyone on this call would be excited that, you know, they are members of the same community that helped you in your MBA journey. Aisha, Hafiz would be answering the same question, like aside Lane, but there any other, you know, resource communities or support communities that you were a part of that contributed to, you know, the success of your MBA experience?
Yes, for me, it took a whole village to get to where I am, to be honest. It all started with Lane. My journey started with Lane, and I've met amazing people on my journey. Debo is one of them. Eromo is one of them. Temi, Tope, well, there are lots. And I also got into Admit Me Access Plus. And in that program, I actually signed up for the fellowship, but I didn't get in. I was discouraged. And then one day while I was sitting, you know, I got an email, oh, we're starting something called the Admit Me Access Plus. So there too, I had mentors who I shared my essays with, and they would make a comment, you know, having like a second or third eye. So that was another resource. And then in any MBA community, you would find me there. I'm on GMAT Club, connecting with people. I'm also in their school webinars, connecting with people. I'm also very active on Reddit. So even on Reddit, I met people, like amazing people. I had 2 admissions consultants that didn't charge me anything. So I had an admission consultant who gave me 1 hour for free, and she actually coached me on my interview with Duke. And that really helped me because that set a precedence on how to really answer all these questions. So in my own case, I had a lot of help, and the help came from communities that I didn't even have anything to really do with them, especially Reddit, you know, and that's it. So I had Lane, I had Admit Me Access, I had access to the community from Lane. There are beautiful people there who I'll just call and be like, please, can you just, I have 350 words and I need to get down to 300 words. What do you think is irrelevant and stuff like that? So do not discount the power of community, and the power of community actually got me here. So that's been my own experience.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So to just wrap up this series, or to wrap up this session, my question is, what would you advise prospective African applicants, right, for the MBA program on how to navigate their journey? I know that in the course of answering previous questions, there have been nuggets, insights that have been dropped, but, you know, I want like a very structured and concise response on, you know, I want to apply for the MBA program in the next cycle, this year or next year. What should I do? What are your advice? What are like the key highlights or the key pointers that is pertinent to have at the back of your mind? Adebowale, do you want to start this off for us?
Okay, I'd say money. Don't let money become an obstacle to your dream. As Africans, most of us don't have, you know, the financial strength to pay these bills in dollars or euros or whatever currency they are in. And they are very large sums, but it's important to keep your mind laser focused on what you're trying to achieve at the end of the day. Rest assured, there are hundreds or thousands of people before us who have gone on this journey and they're doing really well. And if you go out, you network with them, you'll be able to understand how they're able to achieve that. So don't let money be the reason why you select certain schools over some other schools or your dream schools, right? Because, you know, at the end of the day, you'll be able to make it work. So don't cut yourself short, you know, because if it's because of financial reasons, don't do that. Yeah.
Awesome. And I was asking, like, you know, advice for prospective African applicants. Yeah.
What advice will I have? Don't compare your journey with anyone else. Like, if you are I sometimes get questions from people where they'll ask me what was the GRE score, and I'll be like, that a GRE score will not, it's not the only deciding factor on whether you get in or not, right? So trying to compare your GRE score with mine is not going to be of any use to you, right? The best thing for you to do is put your best foot forward. What are the areas in your profile that you can highlight, right? That will give you, make you attractive to the admissions team. Don't get the number of also this person applied to one school. If I apply to one school, I'll get in. It may not happen that way. Some people get to have that favor, right? Where they will apply just one school and they're in. Some will apply to 6 schools and they'll get in, and then it will be a problem of where am I going? Some will apply to so many schools and just get one. So don't compare your journey, focus on yourself and seek counsel, right? You can't do it on your own. It's great that we have a community where you can ask questions, you can reach out to people. Everyone is very willing to help, and not just even the lane management team, even people at lane, right? You see the chat room, you see how people jump in to answer questions. So take advantage of resources that you have, right? And have somebody. You need a support team. You need somebody that would push you. And I had that in a few members of the, when I was frustrated, when I was tired, I needed to be able to talk to someone, and then, they also, giving me that push, checking up on me, right? You need that emotional support. And obviously, I'm also a spiritual person. I need God, because there were times when I had to fast and pray and do a lot of reflection and praying to God to just make this happen. So yes, and that's the ultimate, right? You need God to direct you. I don't want to speak too much here.
Thank you. Femi.
Oh yeah. Thanks, Debo. Thanks, Annie. I think maybe I've already flogged this too much, but it's always good to flog it more. So if I'm going to give advice for anybody that wants to do it, I think the first thing, like I've been saying throughout, is find a way to do your test as soon as you can. Because in as much as the MBA is a reflective journey, you can always reflect and write your essays. The test will always hinder when you apply, depending. And if you have a strong application and maybe it's just the test that's remaining, your strong application goes from round 1 to round 2. If you've not gotten the score you think you can apply with, then you go to round 2 or round 3 anyway. But like if you can easily do that early, do it as quick as possible. Another thing just to add to that bit is, don't focus on the, focus on getting the highest possible score, but if you don't get a 330 or 340 in GRE, for example, don't let it deter you from applying. I believe there are people that have gotten in with 310, 315, 319, and I mean, they're all going to very good schools. And so don't let that deter you. I mean, you can always try again, and if you try to get higher, that's great. But don't let maybe because you didn't get the 330 deter you from applying. And I think the last thing I would give as advice is, this journey, like I said, it takes a village. There are a number of people that you know that will probably want to apply. Anna mentioned that she had someone that gave her emotional support. For me, I had a community of people. All of us applied together. Thankfully, all of us got offers. And it helps you along the way, because it's not easy to have motivation on your own to do this thing. You need people who are also doing it, or people who understand what it takes, so that they can give you that support that you need at the end of the day. And by all means, take advantage of Lane. as much as possible, squeeze everything that they have to offer. And I know that it will be the best outcome for you. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. No. Yeah. So what I would advise is this. First, do not self-select yourself out of some of the schools, right? And when you do not really ask for people, please evaluate my profile. No one can really tell if, you can really get in or not. You just have to shoot your shots, because I guess that's what happens with a lot of us, especially with Africans. We're thinking of, oh, this school, rice, they give money, and Terry, they give money, MIT, they are stingy. Just believe that your own will be different. You never really know. There are people who apply to rice and probably get 0 naira, and you can apply to Colombia or what and end up with a full ride. It does happen, right? So that's one. Then secondly is, if you know you want to go for an MBA, please document your achievements. If it's something you want to do in the next 1 or 2 years, because if you've been working for a very long time, and you haven't really been keeping track, you would struggle to really write about your achievement and the impact you've made. I know that I have forgotten so many things that I have done. I had to go back to my file. Thankfully, I have all my quarterly reports, so I had to sit down and really bring out some of the things that I thought that were really, really important or will make my resume shine through. And thirdly is interact with the schools. Yeah, everybody wants to go into Harvard, but by the time you probably get the admission, then you start thinking, is it where I would really fit in? Do I like the vibe? Do I like how the students are and stuff like that? Because, it's very, very, apart from the school name, it's very important for you to go to a school where, you feel like you're one of them. Not just, just go through the 2 years and all that. So that's another thing. Then my fourth advice is leverage on the communities that you have. If there's any MBA community, please join GMAT Club. There's a lot of information you get there. On Reddit, there's a lot of information you get there. You don't even have to ask any question. Just from reading some of this posts and seeing people's replies, you would actually get a whole sense of, what to do and what not to do and stuff like that. And then please reach out to the schools, reach out to their student ambassadors. They are like your greatest resource, right? They would really tell you, you can ask all the questions that you need to ask. And, from the vibe they give you, you would know, if this is the right place, or this is where I really want to end up, And then finally, I would say, ask for God's guidance. I mean, we're spiritual people, right? Or religious people, to really guide you to that path that is the best for you. Sometimes we want something and it's not really the best for us. It is after, when probably you don't get it, or years after, that will be like, God, thank you for not allowing me to go to that path. I would have been miserable and stuff like that. So this is my advice. And yeah, do not discount the interviews. To prepare for them as much as you prepare for your essays and your exams. So this is my advice.
Okay, thank you very much. So just addressing some of the contents that we have in our chat section. So you can, Shewin Yusuf says that some schools have test waivers. So you might want, but you have to write an essay to secure a test waiver. So I think, while researching the schools that you would want to apply to, it's very important to be on the lookout for that. If you feel like, your test is not your best foot, but I feel like there is still time to retake, but like NS to stop. There is another question from Akpabio. I really enjoyed the session, and she's asking, what if the round you are applying in influences your chances of getting an admission or maybe or securing funding as well? Because it's the normal information that all international students don't apply in this round. The chances of it getting in this round is slimmer or less. So Hosanna, do you want to answer that for us?
I think our panelists can, give their insight, and I'll chime in at the latter end.
Okay, let me share my opinions about this. So I did my research, and first of all, let me say this: I applied across 2 years. So I did my first application 2021, then I applied again last year, and across these 2 years, I applied in early action, round 1, round 2, and round 3. This is what I'll say. I think you really need to apply when you can put your best foot forward, regardless of the round. I did early action, thinking that it would give me, my best shot. I get admission. I applied to 2 schools. I got into one. I got waitlisted in the second one, right? But then funding, I also thought, every school will tell you apply when the bucket is full, when the project is full and all that stuff. But I realized that, from the trends I see this year, last year, it might not always be that way. It really might not always be rush and apply round 1, rush and if you don't get round 1 or early action, do round 2. Clearly, you don't want to do round 4, those much later rounds because of visa and all that stuff. But try to keep it between round 1 and round 2. And if you're going to go into round 2, don't feel bad about it. Don't pressure yourself. In fact, I see like right now in round 2, certain schools are actually giving more admissions than they did in round 1. So sometimes it might actually boil down to the exact school you're looking at, not even just generally, applying to the MBA in the US. So just do your research and put in your application when you are confident that, that's your very best. Don't stress it too much. If it's the money, it will come if you've done a good job. If it's the admission, you'll also get it if you've done a good job.
Awesome. So thank you very much, Debo, for answering that. Hosanna also wants to, give us a little bit of insight on that. Hosanna, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just want to say certain things you should consider when applying to school. Firstly, like Femi was trying to say earlier, you want to have that ready, right? So one of the things I'll say, the round you're applying to, you want to know if your score, you've achieved the round for that score, the best score for that round to apply to. You want to look at your work schedule and availability. That was one of the challenges Aisha had, right? You want to look at your profile. Each schools have across each countries, each continent, profile of the candidate they want. Maybe for Africa, they just want 10 Africans in their class, 50 Asians, Hispanics and among the rest. Now, you want to look at how competitive your profile is for that program. You would have seen the class profile on their website. You'd have spoken with some of the students and true ambassadors or looking at their website as students through LinkedIn. Last thing, the 50 you want to look out is like, are you putting any big developments in work and stuff like that, which is very crucial when it comes to negotiating for funding. Because if a school gives you admission and there's not enough funds and you tell them, I want more money, they'll be like, what's that change in your life? So all these factors play into applying to school. Round 1 is usually preferred because I'm sure I believe that for you to apply early means that you already got all these things right in the pockets to put. And they kind of use that as a benchmark to see the category of students they want to receive into their program. But again, the dynamic is shifting. But the question is, how prepared are you on the first 5 parts? Some schools really taking their quota maybe in the first round and leave few slots in the second round, or maybe they have few funds to give in the second round. And I know of 3 schools, I know of people that are going to the schools, and across all 3 rounds, they all got different amounts of funding. That is one. If funding is not your challenge, like you don't mind sponsoring your program, you don't mind the risk of taking a loan, like you are very okay with that, you can apply to either one of the first 3 rounds. As an international student, which most schools always tell you, apply to those first 3 rounds. But then again, you want to split your applications. Some person will split into round 1 and 2. Some will just go all out in round 1. But most importantly, you want to be sure if you've considered those first 5 factors. Funding across our schools is very open for many MBA programs. They give funding. But the question is, if you are in a school like Stanford, yeah, the people get full ride in those programs. But I know Columbia, my friend in 2019, they have an hour and something in the class. Out of that, 10% will have full ride. But if you don't even mind applying, like you don't mind though, I don't mind taking loans to fill up. I know post MBA, I'm going to make massive money and pay off in 3 to 5 years. You go for it and apply in the round that you have it forward. You don't want to wait to the 3rd round. You want to look at your profile and see how ready you are. If it's round 1, go for it. If it's round 2, go for it. But again, it's a game of numbers. You don't want to leave it to chance and don't apply to one school. In Lane, we always advise minimum 7 schools. But even we always put the constant K, which is a good factor. So I would say apply early, but most importantly, apply when you are ready, when you have everything put together. I know some persons who apply very early and they didn't even get into school in the round 1 because they had opportunity to apply the round. So that was what they were able to get admissions after we're applying again round 2. So if you're that kind of person or you apply in round 2 and you get any admission after applying to 7 school, I tell you, it can be mentally devastating. Even to reapply the next year, it will shake you. But if it happened to you in round 1, you can be encouraged and say, okay, I still have all this information, I still have all the material, I can easily, you can apply round 2 again. It will happen. The truth is, we're not an admissions officer. We don't really understand their thought processes most times because a lot of people are applying to different programs. But you want to put yourself out there, talk to people, get a sense of what they expect, attend these schools, webinars, have the one-on-one career admission officer. When I was applying to school, that's one thing I did because I knew that, there's some areas I was not strong at. And I was looking at operations, I looked at STEM program, and I had to ask them, what do you guys think? From having those conversations, I know what the school expects from me. And I know that, okay, I'm not going to apply with this school. I'm going to go back to work on GRE school. I'm going to go to work on this thing. Those are just things you should consider. There are a lot of perks across all around, but again, there's always for yourself in between 1, 2, 3 is fine. Many schools have 3 for international students, and they have a level of funding. Some may not, but if you don't mind the risk tolerance, you already plan ahead of it. Like Debo said, money is crucial. You go for it. Go for that school. Aligns with your values. You feel like it's going to move you in the right direction. You want to go to post MBA. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, so that wraps it up for us. So I just want to say thank you to
I saw a question in the chat box. Somebody said, how do you overcome the fear
What
of
question is that?
How do you overcome the fear of securing funding? Our panelists, what do you have to say?
Susanna, can you do that in 2 minutes because we are like 6 minutes over time and I really want to respect everybody's time. Please, thank you.
Okay, I think the panelists are here to answer their questions. I know. So let's give them time.
I think what the thing is, what the first thing that discouraged me from applying years ago was the money, right? But if MBA is something you really want to do, and when you look at the return on investment, right, then the money is a little price to pay as far as I'm concerned, right? And for certain schools, I didn't even look at the cost, to be honest. It was after I got the admission, I'm like, so where would the money come from? But there's something, as long as you've made up your mind and this is what you want, don't worry. Just go with the flow and God will help you. Funding is not an issue, these schools have their companies that give loans. Some schools have, a direct something. It's not difficult, so don't worry yourself about securing funding, really. Yeah, just have your savings, but at the same time, loans are there. You'll be fine. Okay.
So I'm just gonna say that can be a very dicey question, right? So yeah, I think some of us are really optimistic, right? And we have some people have high risk tolerance, people don't have who have low risk tolerance. But one thing is sure, so start your MBA application journey, you need money, right? I usually tell people have between $500,000 to $1 million naira budgeted, like if for those from Nigeria, right? Have between like $1,000 budgeted to go through your pre-application to admission cycle phase. Now, it could be lesser than that because many schools give waiver. You could apply. If you are like Aisha, that had to buy many books, someone like me, I did that. I bought all these book paper subscriptions because I was struggling with funds. That may be expensive too. GR is there, GMAT is there. If you wrote your GRE like 4 times, like me and Adene, you can relate how much that costs per cycle. And then again, we write TOEFL, we go to tutorial. So that is like the first funding part of it. So having that mindset that, okay, there is a capital involved, that should clear it out. Now, setting realistic expectations. In as much as a lot of schools, funding can range from full funding to half funding to part funding and to zero funding. Now, funding means, does it include your full tuition? That's one. The school pays for your school fees. But then again, you have cost of living. The location you are going to, the state you are going to, the country you are going to determine your cost of living. Your lifestyle determine it. If you like eating shrimps like me every day, that's like $6, I eat one per week. I'm so nice to my Indomie plate. That's like $30 per week. Like, I'm just trying to like be realistic. You're still better than anyone. You want to buy a flamboyant car when you come into school and many things, you have to know that, okay, where do I get this money from? If the school is giving you full funding, full right scholar for your tuition, that is out of the way, no matter how expensive your program, from as low, the cheapest program of $60K to as high as $300K per the 2 years MBA program. That is one thing that's very said that. But the cost of living, speak to current students, they'll give you a range of what it's like to spend, maybe between $30 to $20 per year and that. So if you took $30 to $20, already save up $5,000 on opportunities to work on campus, to get payment as a JALI assistant. There's a loaning facility. Some of these schools, like Aisha said, have relationship with loan, like Empower, ProGD. You want to take that loan, but consider yourself to your candidates. Okay, you know that when you're coming to the MBA program, you want to get an internship, you want to go get a good full-time job that will pay you where to pay this loan for this period of time. You have to have that realistic expectations of yourself. So God is always constant, but then again, this thing can be funny because when we say God, and maybe you're applying a run that wasn't favorable, and you get this admission, you apply to 6 schools, 2 schools admit you, and you did get the funding. I know some of my colleagues, because I applied in the pandemic, they got admission. This funding loan, they give so many people funding in 2019, 2020 because of COVID, and they couldn't go to school that year. But if they had planned earlier and said, okay, there's also a means to supplement, and some of those schools were flexible, they would have gone. But thank God, many of them are in their school, they were taking this summer, some of them are finishing yesterday, life goes on. So having a set of realistic expectations is one. Being optimistic and trusting God is another thing. So negotiating for funding, you go all out first. Like you said, some schools they give funding, but you don't want to narrow yourself and say, okay, this is the only school I would apply for because they give funding. You should be able to aspire for other schools too, because they give funding. You may not even know, you may not be private to that time. It's when you get to realize that you can actually claim this so much money and tell them and renegotiate. And a lot of materials and name Paul that can tell you how to renegotiate offers. And you could be the first person in that school that won't get it. So again, it goes back to your profile, go back to the time, go back to the class, how diverse they want their class to be. For someone like from a minority standpoint or underrepresented standpoint, they may give that person that funding, your profile and exposure and all those things. But the thing is, it is doable to get that money, but also have your own realistic expectation that, so I should have a bit of support. There are other options I could explore and the school, what can they do for you in that respect? So that's what we'll say. Sharon, I know we want to wrap this up in the next few minutes. Anybody have any other question? I say our panelists say they'll be happy to answer, so you can give them the floor.
Yeah, participants, like members of this call, you have any like question you want to ask, you can just drop it in the chat box or unmute your mic and just shoot your question and somebody on the panel would address it. Any other questions? Okay, since we do not have any, I would just take it that the session went really well. If you want to join Lane, or if you want to share the link to join, the city of Lane, the link would be dropped in the chat box. So you can join via the link, or you can share the link to somebody that would be embarking on this journey, maybe next round or next year or upper year. It's never too early to start, and it's not too late to start as well. While Hosanna is trying to get the link in the chat box, let's just take this one question that I see here. Resources that could help with essay writing, right? So this would be our last question, so everybody can go off. So what resource do we need, or would help with essay writing, putting your best foot forward, and all the encumbrances that come with writing essays? So the link is in the chat box now. Okoyemi has posted it, and I would repost it again. Yes, so please, Adebowale, do you want to answer that question? Like, what resources did you use to write your essay, apart from connecting with older students or, alums or current students of the school that you are going to?
Okay, so first thing is I created a spreadsheet, and sections. Well, there was a section for my early life, personal, professional life, and personal life. Then I split them up. Then over time, I started trying to curate, those topics, so I don't forget them. And so I just, key in those topics, and when I have the time, I flesh them, write more detail, about what each of those things were. And after some time, I actually had quite a lot of information in that spreadsheet. I didn't use every single bullet point I had in there, but it was a good start for me. And just like Aisha mentioned, it's good to, try to have record of, your achievements in your career. So it might be a very good starting point to try and start to document these things. So you can create whatever method works for you. You might want to write it in a notepad or use an Excel sheet to document it. It's always good, but always try and split it up, because when you split it up, there are certain things you might want to throw into your resume, some you want to put into your what's it called now, your interviews, things like that. So you might have different places you want to express, these different things. There's another resource I used. It has skipped my mind, but I'll try and remember this. If another speaker comes up, I'll try and check my files for the name. But there's this website that the lady she's an ex-Harvard person and has this website.
Applicant Lab.
Yeah, Applicant Lab. Yeah, so I don't know why I skipped my head, but yeah, that's a very good resource to help you create your stories, and it gives you context into what the schools might be looking for, or an interpretation of those questions. So that's another good one. And again, speaking and networking with people, Lane has been a very fantastic resource. So it's not just being in Lane and being on the Telegram group and just reading up quietly, but it's good to actually, some people don't like to chat in the public space, but however your personality is, make sure you're engaging somebody on a one-on-one level. There's somebody that you can talk to about certain things, or bounce opinions of them. So please always have that. And those people are people that can, ask you questions that'll get you thinking. So those are resources. So Lane, Applicant Lab, and my own spreadsheet that I built. Yeah. Yeah, that's it from me.
I don't know if I should answer that question because I didn't use any resource. I just got to writing, right? So like I just reflected on the question. And again, like Adebowale said, and Aisha, knowing your achievements, right? So I have my achievements, some of them documented on LinkedIn, some of them on my resume. So going through them and reflecting on my journey, because I've not had like a straight path career journey, right? In customer service, moved to strategy, moved to consulting, now I'm in tech. So being able to, and then when I do my research and I look at essays, I just feel like I try to not like really what's the word now? Analyze other people's essays, because I feel like my brain is like a sponge, right? I feel like I would end up is it plagiarism or what's it called? So I wanted to just focus on myself, right? So I will just pour everything out, knowing obviously you have to have a structure, right? So starting from a childhood, so I focused on my family and then how that's kind of my childhood experiences, right? Or work experience, how that has led me to where I am right now, why I decided to go for an MBA, then also highlighting some of those achievements to show the transition process, because mine wasn't like a straightforward path. So I didn't really use like any resource. So just write everything, right? But have a structure. So start from somewhere and then have a connection and then why the MBA, and then give someone to review it and advice. And also, I also took advantage of school students in the schools I was applying to. So whenever I write an essay, when I reach out to current students, I would appeal for them to also go through my essay, and then they will help me, they'll pinpoint what to add, what to take out. Yeah, so you also should be able to take advantage of that. You're networking with current students. A lot of them are always very open to helping you review your essays, and it's okay to ask, right? The worst that can happen is I'm busy, I don't have time, but doesn't mean you can't ask. So.
Thank you for that, Ine. So we just have to close in on time because our lane community management team, they'll have another meeting after now, and we don't want to keep them out too late. But I just want to say, the thing about essay writing is the more you write, like after your first school, second school, thoughts, we are going to be confident in writing, be able to refine your thoughts, like how to write better, and through doing like interviews. Like when I look at my essays back in 2019, I'm like, my other schools, I'm not surprised I got rejection from those schools, because I know the other schools I applied to by forward and feel that my interviewing skills improve over time, and that way that was helpful. So for those who are joining us on this call and the current members of the community, please just try to focus on the Telegram group. We know our core activities in Lane. We have the MBA for Africa. We have the Lane webinars, which is what we are running currently, and all this occurs across different timeline in the Lane year calendar. So you want to be available for these meetings. For those who are planning to apply to school, the program is going to be open up soon. So you want to come in and get more insight on those things. Once the LAM program open, that is the Lane Accountability and Mentoring Program. After a year, I will check all the requirements and apply to have a one-on-one peer mentoring. It's very helpful. Then for our current students who are first years or incoming first years, we have some of this call. We also have the lantern programs, and we still need volunteers. We need designers. So if you are very creative in that, we appreciate that. We need marketing associates to join our community. If you do think you're up for that, feel free to reach out to me or any of the partners, associate partners on this call. And that being said, you'll have a wonderful weekend, month of April. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Hi, everyone.